It was a total shock.
Still to this day, it's shocking to me.
I remember sobbing.
I just cried the rest of that day, and then
Just feeling really scared and unsure of like how we were ever gonna get through it.
Whoa, whoa, oh.
So we met in 3rd grade. I had moved to a new school, and Leanne was in my class. And then we found out that we actually lived in the same neighborhood, and so it was like fast track of friendship. And then we have literally been best friends ever since. A lot of stuff is kind of rooted in travel, I would say overall is kind of like our go-to thing, but always down to be in book club together or do girls' nights and check out different restaurants around town. So we definitely like to have some fun.
We're crazy over here. My doctor found a lump during my annual appointment, and I remember texting Lauren and saying like, oh, I have to get a mammogram, like it's annoying. You know, I wasn't really concerned about it. I think after I had texted you, you found a lump during a self-exam. And then from there, we both were kind of on the same schedule of like one after the other of mammograms, ultrasounds, biopsies. And ultimately, we found out within 2 days of each other that we had both been diagnosed with breast cancer.
I remember running upstairs to my husband, and I was like, cancer, cancer, and I just like fell to the floor.
Yeah, I remember sobbing, you know, and my husband like comforting me, and
She called me immediately and was like, what's going on? What's your diagnosis? What do you, so we was like, okay, you go first. And she was like, I have cancer. And I was like, me too.
it was so weird because it was like, you know, my heart sank because you never want to wish that on anybody, but it was also like this huge like amount of relief too, just to know that someone who, you know, I knew so well and was so close to and loved would be going through this with me, and we'd be together.
So they both had breast cancer, but there are different subtypes of breast cancer, and Lauren had what we call HER2 positive disease, and Leanne had what we call triple negative disease.
My first treatment, I was literally like crying, and the nurse was like trying to comfort me, and Lauren came in and it was like, okay, like we're okay now, right? Like it didn't feel as scary because there was someone there.
Yeah, it's one of those things you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy, but then being so grateful that your best friend is there along for the ride.
It was almost, again, like a blessing in disguise.
I felt like getting over that first big hurdle of the chemo, losing the hair, being sick, having diarrhea, feeling nauseous, all of the horrible horror stories that you hear was like the hardest part to get through. So then you go into having your mastectomy, and then we're both type A, we have the app, we're looking on my chart, we can't help it.
I was like in bed by myself, like reading my app, and I'm screenshotting it and I'm texting Lauren. I was like, does this mean no evidence of disease? Does this mean it's gone? And she was like, yep, that's it.
Chemotherapy and targeted therapy had done their jobs, and we couldn't see any tumor cells left behind.
We've gotten to celebrate a lot since then.
Well, Leanne would tell you take the trip, because I feel like you've
Take
taken
the
about
trip.
100
I
trips.
have. I have this YOLO mentality now where it's like, okay, we've survived cancer. You can do anything now, right? I can't tell you how many times I've either said to myself in my head or said out loud, it's not that bad. It's not like it's cancer. It's like, you're right. Like, okay, let's put it in perspective. It's not that bad. It like refocuses you on what's most important. But yeah, take the trip. Buy the shoes.
Buy the car.
Buy the car, right.